I'm really excited about today's episode. I'm going to handle two topics. First, I'm going to help you lead better meetings. I've got a great tool for you. And secondly, I am going to help you not feel so bombarded the minute you walk into work. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Life's Messy, Live Happy, a show where I answer your questions. Today, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, because I have the honor to present at the OR Manager Conference for the second year in a row. That's right, I'm making an encore. I'm really excited about today's episode. So let's get to the questions.
Derek from Victoria in British Columbia wants to know, during meetings with clients or potential clients, I find that they can be a touch scattered. Sometimes I struggle to lead the meetings in a more productive and informative direction. What tips or tricks could you offer that might help create more direction and clarity for the board of directors or industry professionals I serve?
Derek, first of all, I have to say that the personal accountability that comes through in your question is fabulous. Instead of complaining to me about your clients, you're asking me, what can I do to lead amazing sessions? And you're very clear that you want the goal to be great ideas and great idea generation. So you've already conquered what I would give as my first advice. Stop judging, start helping. There are clients. They don't come with everything organized, otherwise they wouldn't need us. So I love that you've stopped judging your clients and you're just looking for solutions. One thing I learned pretty quickly in my career is that leaders don't manage people, they manage energy. And that's great news because most of us in today's world are consulting internally or externally. We may be working on teams where we have influence but not direct power over. So we've got to get really good at managing the energy of the session, even though we can't manage the people in the session. So here's my best advice. Managing energy takes a plan and a tool. So if you are heading into a meeting, you've got to do some prep work. I'm a huge advocate of plans and tools because I understand human behavior and how the ego works. What tools do, tools make our work conscious and visible. We've got to get out from behind the filter of the ego and put it out there visually on the wall for all to see so that we have an anchoring point and we can all be looking at what we're building together. Now that changes the energy in the room because a tool is something that unites us. If we're sitting around talking and our ideas are such, they may be dividing us or we may be very scattered in how we're putting them together. But once you put a tool up on the wall and the whole group is now looking at the wall, you've changed the energy. Instead of us working with or against one another, we're all working together focused on the true issue at hand. So I want to give you a couple of tools that I think will work really well. One of my favorite tools for brainstorming is something I call thinking inside the box. Thinking inside the box is very different than thinking outside the box. And I'm wondering if your sessions don't get a bit scattered because you're trying traditional brainstorming techniques. So using traditional brainstorming techniques, I think, is what leads to your clients getting pretty scattered because they just don't have any constraints. They don't know what the rules of reality are. And my hunch is, as they come up with bigger and bigger ideas without any sense of what's capable in the next few months or in the next year, you might start to panic because you're thinking, oh my gosh, how could we execute on these things? So I have this great trick called thinking inside the box. What I do and how it works is you take that goal that you've created very clear and you put up a flip chart and you write that goal at the top as far as what we're trying to create here. And then you make a box. The goal's at the top. And on the sides of the box, you start to talk about what the constraints are, what your reality has provided for you. And it could be a time frame, it could be resources, it could be, we have to stay within brand policy, it has to be politically sellable. It is a way for you to just put the constraints out there that we have in our current reality, because your circumstances aren't the reasons you can't succeed. They're the reality in which you must succeed. So you've just laid out there the circumstances and the goal, and now you ask people to think inside the box. Given that this seems to be our reality, what ideas do you have? This is so important. Now, we don't want to limit people's incredible ideas, but we do want to acknowledge and give a nod towards reality. If we say, given that this is the reality, what are your ideas? And somebody quickly says, well, we could change that reality. If it's feasible, take it off as a constraint and move forward. So I'm really hoping that you're going to go into your next meeting having processed your work, have a plan for what you want to be delivered by the end of the meeting, and drive your agenda not around let's talk about work that's been done or what we need to do, but around an actual deliverable. We will have completed a thinking inside the box exercise and will come up with ideas to solve for whatever that goal is. I think you'll find the sessions less scattered and more enjoyable and satisfying for everybody involved. If you liked that tool, then I have a treat for you. Check out the description below, click on the link, and that tool is now yours.
Rachel from Greensboro, North Carolina says, my stress level when I am at work is beyond high. The source of my stress is as soon as I walk in the door, I am being asked to answer questions, solve problems, lead huddles, and I haven't even put my lunch away. This continues throughout my entire shift. I eventually end up saying that I am one person and can only do one job at a time. Unfortunately, in healthcare, sometimes that means that a patient is not cared for as quickly as they would like. How can I balance and prioritize and empower so that I am not in this position that I built myself into?
Rachel from Greensboro, I'm glad you realize that you're only one person and you can only do one job at a time. And since you know that, I want you to live with integrity to that. See, you know that you're only one person can do one job at a time, and yet you, rather than setting some great boundaries, are stepping down and then blaming everybody else for them mobbing you as you walk in the door. This is really about you, and that's good news because this is so very solvable. First of all, I want you to realize that somebody's request is not your demand, that to really step up and lead, it's different than being always available to folks. I want you to really step up and lead in a way that starts to set some micro boundaries. A lot of people ask me, Sai, what can I do to these other folks to get them to change, or how can I change my job? And what I'm here to tell you is that it's not about changing others as much as it's about changing the way you interact with others. I want you to start setting some micro boundaries. So when people come to you, I want you to be able to say, yes, I would love to help you. Yes, I'm here for you. Yes, let's work on that. Yes, we can solve this. Everything is figure-outable, right? But then I want you to step up and lead and let people know how you're gonna do that. So if somebody hit me before I even set my lunch down, I would say, great to see you. I love that you reached out to me for that. Here's what would work best for me. Meet me in my office in 15 minutes, or follow me to the lounge and let's sit down and connect. I would love that. Can you summarize some of your ideas in an email and send me the briefing, and we can get together at 10? Can you go to the whiteboard outside my office and write your name on it and request a time to talk to me and write your questions so I can be best prepared? See, you start out by saying, absolutely, I'm here for you. And then you step up and lead and say, here's how to get the best from me. Send me this in the form of a question so I can reflect prior to our time of talking. Another technique is wean people off of you. And to do that, I think you think your only choices are saying yes and doing it immediately, or saying no and being unhelpful and risking that a patient doesn't get what they need. But you know better, you know triage. I compliment anybody who comes to me. Thank you. I'm so glad you're passionate about that. I'm glad that you're keeping track of that. I'm glad that you care about that. Now let's talk about the best way to get this work done. And then we have a conversation about what's best for the patient, what's best for the organization, what is the best way to get that done. And we identify where people need to grow so that they can do this on their own and be more independent. I actually also have a really good tool that if you're in healthcare, you may already know. I think you just might not be applying it. So I need you to teach your team a way to process their work. And it's called the S-bar. That's why I think you already know it. It's a nursing tool. See, when I ask, when people say, hey, do you have a minute, is I actually ask my team member, do you have an S-bar? I expect, after I've taught them this tool, that they will come to me with process work. And the S-bar is an acronym, S-B-A-R, and it's a fabulous tool to get people pre-processing their work so that you can coach them as they bring things up to you. You can solve the problem and grow the person. It's phenomenal. S stands for the situation. I need the person to identify in one sentence what the issue is. I don't want a whole book and I don't want a bunch of drama. So I need them to identify what the situation is. The B stands for relevant backgrounds. We don't work for the History Channel. I just need whatever background applies to the future, how it's connected to what we're trying to create. Then I need the A, that is your analysis, your assessment. Have you fact-checked? Have you gathered data? Have you talked directly to the people involved? What have you identified? What's real and what's story? And then R is for recommendations, and that S is plural, recommendations. See, if you come to me with here's what needs to be done, that's just your opinion. That's your request, that's your demand. But if you come to me with an idea of here's all the things we could do, then I know you're being mentally flexible and you're thinking your way through all the ways you could handle something, and you've got some resilience that you're building up. And then I coach you on this stuff as we go through this on paper. So it's not dialogue and story of the ego, on paper, away from where the ego can get their hands on it. Then we're able to coach, we correct the S-bar, we add to it, and then we just send people out to do great things, but their list is longer than yours. Now here's the beautiful thing about an S-bar. The more you have people do their own work, the more they grow. The more you have translated your thinking through your feedback on their S-bars, the more you've downloaded your consciousness. So here's the moral of the story. Rachel, I know that you're stressed, but the source of your stress is you stepping down and not leading and not setting boundaries, and then blaming your job and the people that's undoable and that people are demanding too much of you. Girl, it's time to step up, say yes to the goal, thank them for coming, and teach them how to be more self-sufficient. If you want to check out the S-bar tool for yourself, there's a link in the description that you can use. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Now remember, this show is all about answering your questions. So if you have a question, submit it by clicking the link below. And who knows, I may handle your very question on an upcoming episode. And remember, I'm at Cy Wakeman, so you need to make sure you're following me across social media, and don't forget to help your friends out and get them to follow me as well.